Looking at the sizes of the blocks that are needed for building something like this is, first of all, the people in the quarry need to know which stone is healthy. And what you used to do, now we don't do this nowadays anymore, but what you can do if you get a block of this size, this would be a square block, a full square block. So you lay the block on the side on the banker, and you get a chisel, a piece like this, and you drop the chisel onto the stone, and if it swings, it's fine. It has a very particular sound. If the sound doesn't travel either side through the stone, there's a crack somewhere in the stone and you cannot use it. So that's one way of testing. Actually, you can hear if the stone is sound or not. So it's just a question of dropping a chisel onto that. Once pieces of that size have been quarried and squared, you then have to start cutting this into a drum, or in this case in 3/4. And columns have a tendency, there's an optical illusion where the eye makes the column, if the column would be very straight, like from a circle to a circle, the eye would see that as an inserted column. It looks like it's been thinner. So that's why there's an antithesis, which means you carve the column with a slight bulge in the center, which then counteracts this optical illusion where your eye kind of narrows this down. Looking at the size of the columns here, one of the problems that people might encounter is getting the blocks of the proper size out of the quarries, because you have 18, I think it's 18 columns here, and sometimes the quarries wouldn't give you the size of block that you need. So in order to economize the whole project, they would carve pieces in small sections. So the visible sections will be nearly half a circle, and then the other pieces would be done in parts of columns. So you can see this is not an insert, this is just actually a part of the stone that was used to carve the column, because the quarry was obviously not able to give pieces that size that they needed. And you can see that on that column as well. So this is the bigger part, the bigger piece on the outside, which is visible, and then it's like a bit of a patchwork of smaller pieces to finish the column.
It's interesting, at the base of this column, we have two stone types that are used here in Castletown. We've got the Edenderry oolite, nice and pale and droved, worked here, and then beneath it we have this browner stone that, where it's broken away, it's very dark in colour. This is Calp limestone. And Calp limestone was a muddy Carboniferous limestone deposited in fairly deep water in what the geologists call the Dublin Basin. And so there's a fair amount of mud in here, but also lime crystals as well. And in parts of Castletown here on the wings, you can see where it's been used extensively, and also in the basement level of the main house. And some of those beds here have been laid with bedding horizontally, but some of them have been laid so they're vertical, and that's called face bedding. And over time, the weathering has spoiled the stone away, so you can see the beds that are the blocks that are face bedded and the others that aren't. Interesting as well, here some of those contain trace fossils, so there are burrows running through them. And also the stone has been nicely worked, so they've been droved around. They've got a droved margin, and they're also droved as well, which is, I think, for Calp, quite unusual. It's quite weathered so that the sense of that has sort of disappeared largely, but if you look carefully, you can actually pick it out nicely. The source of this Calp limestone has been questioned by various people. Maurice Craig suggested it came from Castle Dexter near Slane, but that's a long, long way away, and the transportation would have been really expensive. On the Castletown estate, there is a field still known as the Quarry Field, and there's bedrock, Calp limestone bedrock, in the River Liffey, which is about 100 yards from here. So it's possible that some of the stone was quarried locally from the estate. The other sources, probably more likely than Castle Dexter, were the Dublin quarries at Lucan, so east of here, and stone certainly was available at the time, was quarried and would have been floated up on small boats or barges to the site here. In Dublin, and indeed here at Castletown, there's some use of calp limestone in contrast with other stone types. Like in Dublin, there are various examples of Scrabo stone, which was a yellow sandstone with calp as well. But here, what we have is the calp limestone that was originally, when quarried, it would have been black. And you can see this neatly exposed here on this broken surface. So we've got fresh black material. That's what it would have looked like when it came out of the quarry. And it contrasts with this white, pale stone from Edenderry. And I think that's what they were looking for, the black and the white above it. But over time, that difference has really disappeared because the calp, in fact, mellows and weathers to a lovely brownish color. So you get this one mottled color on the wings and on the basement level that I love. But you've actually lost the original intention, I suspect, of that duotone effect on the facade. But the weathering effects, it's a lovely color. So I'd have no problem leaving it in this weathered state.